Hi, welcome back to part 2. Create a hybrid mobile app for your YouTube channel or your small business. So in part 2, we're going to talk about how to build a mobile backend with just WordPress without writing a single line of code. So just to refresh your memory, this is the app we have been working on. Right now, it gets all the video from YouTube using YouTube API version 3. Well, everything is looking nice, but sometimes you just don't have a YouTube channel and don't have a YouTube video, or you want to have a full control of your mobile backend. And in part 2, we're going to teach you how to actually transform your WordPress website into a fully functional mobile backend with RESTful API, so you can get the data from your WordPress site. So as you can see, we here have a setting page. We flip the switch on using WordPress API. Boom. Now all the video is actually getting from our WordPress website. So that's what we're gonna create in part 2. So first step, let's go back to the folder we were working on from part 1. Drag it over to a terminal. And let's remind yourself what we have so far. So what we have is we successfully got all the video from YouTube. So the next step, let's create a pop-up menu for setting, so we can actually change data to get customized information from YouTube and also have that switch for WordPress. So in order to do that, we're gonna use a couple of Ionic directives. Before we even doing that, let's do some design for our app. So right now, we have this like boring gray header. We want to have some kind of color header. And Ionic actually provide a lot of like different variation. So you can take a look and right here in the header section. And we really like this like bar positive color. So all we need to do is basically provide this CSS class to the header. Instead of bar stable, you use bar positive. We save it. Go back to our app. Now you see our app change immediately with this beautiful blue header, which is what we like. So next thing, we're gonna create a button right here, which is a navigation button. So we can pop up our setting page. So in order to do that, we're gonna add a button on the Ion header bar, like so. If you want to learn more about the syntax of Ion header bar, head over to Ionic, and in the header section, you should see, actually in the button section, in the header section, you see the syntax, how to add left and right button in the Ion header bar. So if you want to add a right button, basically just put a button right underneath the H1 div, and that you generate a button right here, like so. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna put this button right here, and we're gonna use this like nice Ionic icon, which is a gear icon, and we also attach an ng-click directive and trigger this event called setting click function. And we haven't created this function yet, and we will create it next. But before we create the function, let's take a look at what it looked like of our app. Boom. Now you see this really beautiful gear icon, iOS gear icon, and it follows along even after you scroll. But again, when you click it, nothing happened because we haven't created that click function yet. So we're gonna create a function right now. So go back to our app.js. What we want to do is actually, when we click this button, we want the function actually to pop up a setting menu. So that pop-up is actually another really useful Ionic directive. And this is actually under, go back to Ionic docs, JavaScript. It's just a bootstrap. It actually is a model window. And that is exactly what we're going to use. So in order to use that, as you see in the controller, first step, you actually need to inject an Ion model. So that's what we need to do first. Go to app.js. As you see, in the dependency of our controller, we need to inject Ion model. So just copy and paste right here. So after we inject the model, we can use this code right here to actually generate a model. So let's copy and paste the code here. Right underneath our HTTP request. So great, let's walk through the code of this Ionic model. So as you see, we actually gonna get a template to generate the design of the model. And this template is under template and generated by this setting HTML. And we haven't created this template yet, and we'll create that just in a moment. And then we're gonna assign setting in the scope to this model. As you see, return here. And then the model scope, we're gonna use the same scope, and we're gonna give it a nice animation called slide in up. So we'll have this really nice slide up animation. And we're also gonna create two more functions called setting click, which is this one. As you see, when it click, it will show the setting menu. Again, we have open and then we have close. So we have another function called close setting. So when it click, you just close and hide the model. So now let's create this template. So right underneath our folder structure right here, we can create a new folder called template. And inside template, let's create a new file called setting.html. I'll copy and paste some code I prepared for you guys here. It's a very simple code. Basically, just it's an Ionic model with slide in up class on the first step, and the model have a header. It's the same header structure you see on HTML. And then have Ion content. And then inside Ion content, we have a list item, which generate an input field, which is a checkbox. So this is actually get from Ionic, and what that code will generate is actually a toggle box, this one. So as you see, that's all we need for generate a toggle box. So when toggle, we just toggle the value from true to false. It's really simple to use. So this is what it is. And the toggle box gonna type into ng model. So what ng model does is create a two-way data binding. So when you change the value in here, it changes the value of the model in the controller. When we click, we also want to type that into an entry click event, which trigger another function we haven't created yet. But this function we're gonna generate all our logic to get data from our WordPress website. So after this part done, we're gonna add an other Ionic card. What this does is generate just a simple form, as you see right here, and then allow you to input your own API key, your own search, and your own YouTube channel. And as you see, all this data bind with YouTube param, which if you remember, the YouTube param in here. So basically, if we change the value, we'll change the value in here. So that is two-way data binding AngularJS. Again, this part is not required. You don't need to create that. I just create that for my own convenience. So you can feel free to copy and use it, or you can just delete it. It doesn't matter for the application. So let's save that and take a look at what we got so far. Save. Back to the app. There's no error. Great. Click it. Nothing happened. Okay, make sure we save the index as well. And the app.js file. Go back, refresh. Click it. Boom. You can see this nice slide on up animation. When we close it, you can slide back down. And we have the toggle box right here. And you see when you toggle, we actually hide the YouTube setting function. And then if we toggle it off, we can see the setting menu right here. And then we can update the setting. Like for API key, search, and channel ID. Let's go back and take a look. It's an ng-show event in here. So whenever WordPress.show is true, and then a reverse it is false. So whenever this value is false, we actually show this whole section. But whenever this value is true, we gotta hide it. So that's why when we click it, value become true, we can hide this whole section. And when you flip it to false, it will show up. So the magic is controlled by the ng-show event. So back into the app, we do want to define this value. So that's what we do first. And then with the control in here, with the ng model in here, when we set this to true, or toggle that as a true, this will turn into true. So we will show the WordPress post. So that is this object useful. So now we have a setting menu. Let's move on to actually turn our WordPress website into a RESTful API database. So in order to do that, we need to install 3 plugins. Plugin 1 is WordPress RESTful API. And that is the plugin we're gonna install, which will turn our WordPress backend into a RESTful API. So let's take a look at my WordPress site. I log in. In the backend, we gotta first install the plugin. We actually need to add new right here. So we search it. And it's right here. Since I already installed it, so I'm not gonna install it again. The next plugin you need to find is Advanced Custom Views. This is actually a really nice plugin to let you to create custom view, so you can inject that into a WordPress post, and so you can display any data you want. So it's a very powerful. It basically makes your WordPress backend just 10,000 times more flexible and display any data you want. So that's something that we're gonna install right now. But since I already installed it, so I will continue to the next plugin, WordPress REST API Custom View. That is the plugin to connect. You can just use this one. Connect the WordPress RESTful API with Advanced Custom View. So the data you generate from Advanced Custom Views will actually be available in WordPress RESTful API. So after you install all 3 plugins, so now you can go ahead and create some blog posts that you want to show in your mobile app. So basically, add a new post, and make sure this post is under category called shows. My 3rd video. Type in title, type in some text. all this meta field is actually created by my templates, so you can ignore it. But you can see one field in here, so that allow me to input my YouTube video ID. So how can I actually generate that? So before I even create a post, I actually generate an event custom field group called episode. It's right here. As you see, I created. And as you see in this episode, we have one field. You can open that called YouTube video ID. I put in the field label ID, the field name, so just a text, plain old text. And make sure this field is only gonna show up when post category is equal to shows. That's what we just did. We set the category to the post we just created to shows, and that this custom field will show up at that post. It's that simple. So back to the post. We can filter for category, so to see like the post I created for show. So we create episode 1, episode 2, 2 episode, and then my third video. So I go ahead and finish that. We do need a YouTube ID, video ID right here to then generate some video. I will just use one of my old video right here. That is the video ID I need. Put it in right here. Just the video ID. That's all I need to do. So I publish that. Okay, this post is published. Just take a look at your WordPress end. Where it look at the internet browser. I mean, just look like a plain old blog post. Nothing special here. But again, this is not going to display, well, it will display on your website, but it's also going to display on your mobile app. That is the main goal for it. So how can I actually get the RESTful data of this post? So the URL we need to query the post is actually very simple, generated by WordPress API. So you need a domain right here for me, which is raytrain.tv, and slash WordPress JSON slash post, because that's what we want to query is the post. And then we put a filter behind it with the category name equal to shows. That is the syntax to find the actual RESTful URL endpoint. Take a look. As you see, we return a bunch of JSON data, and that is our post data from our WordPress website. It's really cool. We have all the information here. And if you look closer under meta, we have our YouTube video ID right here. We just put in event custom field. So that is everything we need to generate our card in our Ionic app. So let's jump back into Ionic. In the controller, we gotta go ahead and again do a HTTP request, but this time it's to our WordPress backend instead of YouTube. So first thing, let's create an empty post objects, empty post arrays, which to store all the posts we return from our WordPress site. And then we're gonna create an HTTP request. And again, we're gonna wrap this request into a function called use WordPress. And where this function comes from, and if you see what in your setting page, when you click this toggle box, we actually trigger a function called WordPress use WordPress. And this function will be triggered in right here. So that's why we wrap the HTTP request only under this function. So whenever we click the toggle box, we actually run this function and populate all the data for our mobile front end. By now, you should be very familiar with this syntax. So go ahead and using HTTP GET request, and then get our WordPress URL. So we haven't defined our WordPress URL yet, so we're gonna define it right here. So var a new variable called WordPress URL, and we put in the same URL address we have right here into this variable. and then we just go ahead and get from this variable, and if it's successful, we will do same thing to Angular for each and push each child into the post array right here. Pretty straightforward. So in order to display the card from WordPress, but at the same time hide the card from YouTube, on the HTTP, on the template side, we have to make sure we have another if directive right in the card of our YouTube video, like so. What I mean is, if WordPress.show is not true, it's empty, which is false, reverse it, become true, this whole div will show. But we can copy right underneath it. Instead of repeat video, we actually gonna repeat the post object we just created. So it's post in post object, but this time we flip that. So only show this div when WordPress.show is true. So again, we need to change all that to match our data from our WordPress website. So first thing we need to map is title. So title in our WordPress is actually right here, title. So it's very simple actually. So all we need is just change that to post.title. And for publish time, go back, we will see a date object right in the root level. So do that. Post.date. And then last thing, we need to get the video ID. And if you remember, video ID is actually under meta. I have a YouTube video ID right here. So we're gonna match that to post.meta the YouTube video ID. Let's save it and take a look what we got. Okay, no error, which is good. But this time, let me flip using WordPress. Boom. And you see the video we just posted, my third video right here with this new video. And two other posts we created earlier, right here. And now we successfully get the data from our WordPress. And as you see, it's that simple. So let's actually test this on our iOS simulator. Click that. Ionic. Emulate iOS. Open up our simulator. This is our app. We also have this really nice setting menu. So in here, we flip on WordPress, close that. As you see, now every data is generated from our WordPress website. And we can watch the video. Hi, welcome. Directly from the app. That's concluded part 2 of this series. And part 3, we're going to talk about using Codeover to communicate with other apps installed inside our iPhone. So we can share our video using the app like Facebook, Twitter, installed inside your app. And we'll see you next time.